Hey guys, welcome to Little Black Book. I am joined by some fabulous stars to discuss Jonathan Majors today. Yes, I've closed my shirt because you guys keep complaining about the chest muscles. I keep coming out, so I've closed it to be professional today and have this discussion. Okay, all right. But I'm joined by two superstars, mega. Okay, all right. We have singer, comedian, actress, reality TV star. Okay, personality. All right, I call her the Haitian Queen as well. Hip mover. All right, yeah, you may know her from such things as Wild and Out. Okay, as well. So shout out to Jessie Woo. How you doing, babe?
I'm
That's
good.
what we like to see, baby. That's what
I'm
we
good.
like
How
to
are you
see. Keep going.
guys?
We are good. We are good. We are
Good.
good. And then we're joined by also another fabulous person. Yes, TV personality. You see her in the comments, okay? All right. She goes viral every time she decides to speak up as well. You guys know who I'm talking about, okay? All right. Legal representative, legal counsel as well, okay?
Mm.
You may have seen her on such things as helping with the movie Carter 2015. You may have seen her on such things as Two on Tinashe, helping with the negotiation when it comes to the contract, okay? You know her. She's gone viral recently too, all right? Talking about Diddy and Jonathan
Oh,
Majors. And now I have her on my screen as well.
yeah.
Welcome,
Hey
Simone.
guys, so
Hey.
glad to be here.
This is
Thank you
it.
so
This
much.
is it. This is it.
My screen
I
is doing
appreciate you
something
two
weird, so
ladies.
forgive me.
Listen, it's doing it on all of us. Don't even worry. They
Okay.
don't want to see us, go great. So I don't even want to waste much time, right? Because we already got 500 people in the room. They're ready to talk about this stuff. Jonathan Majors recently has imploded in front of our screens. Okay, he
Yeah.
went from being Kang to suddenly being the pauper. Okay, all right, and unfortunately, recently events legally, he's been in some trouble with his ex-girlfriend. And
Yep.
the court case has gone forward, and we've seen him being I don't even like saying the word, but he's guilty for some crimes that he has done. And I thought we should discuss this because I think it actually is one of those big things in our community that does happen.
Hmm.
And when it does, oftentimes it can be swept underneath the carpet. Now, I've got different set of circumstances because we have one black male and a white female. So it does add a little bit of spice to the conversation. So what I'm going to do is first and foremost is ask your first initial thoughts to the case. Like, not doesn't have anything too deep. Just what your initial thoughts were when this first broke and you heard this story about Jonathan Majors. What your first thoughts were. So, Jess, if I go to you and then go to Simone after,
First
what was your
initial
initial
thought.
thoughts?
First initial thought. I
Yeah.
was like, oh hell no, not my man. Because I love Jonathan Majors. Like, I am a huge fan of his acting ability. I think that he is gifted at what he does. I think he's incredible. And the man is fine. Like, I'm sorry. Like, not sorry. He is fine as hell. Now, I know the streets say he got an ancestral face. You know what I'm saying? He civil rights fine. But you know what I'm saying? Them civil rights niggas used to be fine back in the day. So I ain't gonna hold you. I always
I
thought
love Malcolm X.
oh,
Ooh, baby, Malcolm X gets me.
I know the
Not
thing is
bothered.
a lot of times, a lot of times people feel it's inappropriate to say things like, oh, MLK was fine. And you know what I'm saying? Frederick Douglass had it going on. Them niggas was fine too. They was fighting for the cause, but they was fine as fuck. So I always found him to be very gorgeous. And again, I was a huge fan. Lovecraft Country, I watched religiously. I tweeted constantly. I was so mad when we didn't get a second season, so I was like, not my man. Those are my initial thoughts. Not my man. I was shocked.
I appreciate it. That's real. Attorney, talk to us. Your initial thoughts.
So my initial thoughts were, I want to hear from the taxi driver. Because I felt like, because his side immediately came out and said, the evidence is going to show you that he's innocent. He's done nothing wrong. So I said, okay, I want to talk to the only neutral third party, which would be the cab driver. And the confidence with which his team came out and said, he's innocent or what have you, I was like, well, this person is either going to corroborate or deny. And that's particularly because I understood that this was a misdemeanor. And as an attorney, I've handled many misdemeanors. I do. I'm Texas based, but I'm licensed in New York and Jersey as well. And when it comes to misdemeanor assault, it is the bottom of the barrel, most basic form of assault. It's really like a lot of times it could be, somebody getting into it at the club. Yeah, there's that. But it could really be you mushing somebody in the wrong situation,
Yeah.
a Caucasian. So I said, okay, because I now know that like the definition that people use today of assault is very different. Because for my daddy's generation, they was knocking chicks out. Okay. And to where I remember I had this guy and his baby's mom try to fight me at the club. And my dad didn't like the guy because he was like, well, why he didn't bust her across the head? Because I was like, Daddy, I couldn't do anything. My bar results are pending. He was like, well, why she didn't bust her across the head? And my mom was like, Robert, you can't do that anymore. You can't just, my dad's 70. He's like, you can't knock a woman silly because she's doing the wrong, trying to beat up your girlfriend. And then my dad was like, well, why he didn't stick his sisters on her? And I thought about that and I was like, no, you're right. And so that love affair died very quickly because if I have to go out and get a restraining order against your baby mama because you haven't protected me, then you need to scram. So the point is I know that misdemeanor assault means a lot of different things to different people. So I was like, let me see some evidence and let me hear from a neutral third party.
I think from my perspective, Jonathan Majors was an awesome actor. Sorry, I said was like he's gone. He is an awesome actor.
He gonna act again.
What he does.
He's gonna.
I was like, he might not be. I mean, at this rate, he might be on Tubi. Okay, so
no,
nothing wrong with Tubi. Tubi's good.
No, hold on, I'm sorry to interject. Tyler Perry's always hiring. Tyler Perry is always hiring.
Like, why you
Jonathan will definitely get a job.
Why you go do that to our boy? This guy's Tyler Perry's
Tyler,
good. I'm just saying he blockbuster. You know what I mean?
That's true.
You know what I mean? I'm not saying Tyler's bad. I'm just saying that
Right? Yeah, you're right.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, listen. I mean, when I heard the news, I think I was just disappointed. I was like, you've just started climbing up, reaching to the top of the mountain peak. You look like you're really about to take over the world with your acting performances. When I watch him, I'm like, I believe whatever role you're playing. And I think it was more disappointment that he was in that space. That now you're in this situation. You know what I mean? So let me ask a question for you two ladies as well. At what point, if ever, did you start feeling like, yeah, his ass is guilty?
The text messages.
At what point did you start feeling that?
Text messages.
Jesse said text messages.
I never did. I want Jesse to get a chance to talk to the messages. And if it's okay, I'll actually share my screen and put them on my screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do that.
But I'll say two things. I'll say when I saw it was Jen Shaw's former lawyer, I was like, and then the text messages. I have never liked his lawyer. And let me say what text messages I didn't like. The text messages that the lawyer sent to TMZ. The ones where it was from the initial night of the attack or whatever happened, where I don't know what he said to her, and she said, listen, I'm going to tell them that I'm the one who caused this, that this all happened because of me. The initial text messages that were given to TMZ.
Okay, so let me share that.
Yeah. When I saw that and I learned that his lawyer sent it to TMZ, I was like, girl, you're going to lose. You're losing it.
Kojo, are you able to see it on your side? Okay, when you're ready. All right. So I'll let you walk him through it, Jesse, and then I'll explain it, how it related to the case.
Yeah. So, I didn't like that. What do you want me to do? Read the text?
And I think you mean specifically. So she says here, she starts with, please let me know you're okay when you get this. They assured me you wouldn't be charged. They said they had to arrest you as a protocol when they saw the injuries on me and they knew we had a fight. Then she goes and says, I told them it was my fault for trying to grab your phone.
Yeah. And here's the thing too, it could be, depending on who you are, how you read this, it could be interpreted so many ways, right?
Yeah.
It could be interpreted so, let's just be honest. For me, and I've said this on my YouTube, every time I've talked about this, I have never been in a DV situation. Never.
Thank God.
I was abused as a kid, but relationships, I've never, and I think it is because I was abused as a kid. When I get in a relationship, the men always know this ain't what you want. It's not gonna happen. There's no choice. There's no choice over here. So whatever you think is about to happen, just take a long walk. It's not happening. All right, because it's not going to end the way you think it's going to end. Let's just say that. So I think because of me being abused as a child, that was one thing I was never going to take in relationships. So I cannot relate to this. However, I have many friends who have been in DV situations. I have family members who have been in DV situations. I've put my hands on a family member's man because they were in a DV situation. So I recognize what this sounds like. But I also recognize that just because it sounds like something, that's not proof that it is that. I just want to acknowledge that. But as someone who has been around DV and seen it, this sounds like a battered woman.
It absolutely does.
Yeah. And I don't agree with his lawyer's immediate tactic being let's sway the court of public opinion.
Well, I believe though. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
Yeah, because I just like sending the text messages to TMZ. You're trying to fight you're fighting two cases. So now there's the case that hasn't started yet, and then but the court of public opinion, it starts immediately, right? So,
but with respect, I think the lawyer had to stop the bleeding, because what immediately tends to happen is then you start getting dropped, and he was getting dropped from places. So you have to do something to say, hey guys, let's not act hastily. The facts are going to come out in support of my client's innocence. So, but what I think where she failed here, now the first people to drop him were his PR team, is my understanding. Those were one of the first people. Lord, they needed him. He needed to immediately hire someone else. I say this all the time. If you want to be a great lawyer, don't major in no god dog political science. Okay. This is a great example. This woman has no
God, this is so good.
No business, no any of that. I was a finance major. I was business because I said, first of all, if something happens and I can't go immediately to law school, I need to make sure I don't have to work at Starbucks and pay back my student loans, right? Number two, I knew that you got to really win a case is about being the best storyteller. And whether I was a corporate lawyer, I need to know about business, or whether I was, a lawyer for other areas, I just felt like that'd be a big background. Well, here, old girl needed to team up with a PR team, because by releasing this as she did here, that all our minds could do would wonder. I never realized, tell me in the chat if you realized that the whole crux of her injury was a broken finger. The main injury that everybody is talking about is a broken finger. And it was because he was caught cheating. You got to be authentic with this. That, it should have been a statement that said, this all stemmed from an unfortunate incident where Jonathan was found to be dating another woman. His ex saw something saw a text from another woman on the phone, then grabbed it and began beating it. In his attempt to retrieve his stolen possession, phone, which contains, countless confidential and private information that he's contractually obligated to protect, such as contracts, scripts, etc. In doing that, her finger became injured. Any injury was unintentional, but this is not domestic violence. Most people know if you're fighting over a phone, it's likely that could happen, especially with the grip of a woman who has just caught you cheating, because I'm about to take this phone and go upside your head with it.
Come on.
So understanding that, what we're talking about here is a sprained finger. And so she's saying, I told them it was my fault, as in the injury to my finger was my fault for grabbing your phone, is consistent with her admitting, I was mad because I caught your ass. Yo, trifling behind, excuse me. And there we go. Tell me in the chat if you knew that. Yeah, I'm curious.
because I didn't know that. Well, I'm assuming again what I read was that. As well as, I don't want to go too ahead of myself, but apparently the case was more predominantly about what happened in the car. But
And
why do
that's
you
what
think
happened in the
that?
car. That's it.
And that's what happened in the car, right? So why do you think that this? I'm not gonna lie to you, because this ain't helping nobody. When I read this text here, I said, "Oh damn." I said, he definitely down for the count." So the fact that his own team, it almost felt like his team was trying to sabotage him slightly behind the scenes, because this, I can't, even me, if I don't need to be a lawyer, me looking at it and going, "My brother, that don't look good. We ain't gonna release that. We ain't gonna
Yeah.
release that." That
Not
doesn't make
like
sense to me
that.
to release. So why was that released?
If anything,
Because his lawyer is dumb.
I got a picture of her. Y'all got to see it in detail.
His and listen, and I've said from the beginning, I think this is a DV case. But I can also say his lawyer is a turd
Crazy. Oh yeah.
who based her whole argument on this is an Emmett Till type of thing. This is the classic white woman versus black man. And there's a black man who's got a big career. Here comes this white woman coming in here to kill his career. Like, that was her whole argument, girl. Don't get me wrong. I know this still happens now, but there was too, like, the DA had too many bullets. Like, they had a shotgun like filled with, like, it was too many bullets for you not to have a more prepared case that shot down every section of her testimony. She could not counter argue every section of Grace Jabari's testimony. She just couldn't, because she's dumb. We're gonna have Simone here. Simone is actually gonna,
Yes.
break down the case the way it should have been broken down. And here's the thing too, and I know we're gonna keep going about but I want to say this, and because I know clips are probably gonna go out, right? Black men, especially black men in the entertainment space who want to date white women, right? I have no problem with you dating women outside our race. As a matter of fact, I encourage you to do so, because when you go out there, you realize shit ain't sweet the way you thought it was going to be.
Okay.
Go ahead and do that. But also, what I want to say is, when you get caught up with these other women, if you want to pull the I'm a young black man card, get you a black lawyer. If you're going
at
to
least let us be on the team.
Come on. If you want to come out here and say, I'm a young black man, get a black lawyer. You have Jonathan, who was asking the white women to act like Coretta Scott King. And then he had this, whatever this lady is, because she no black, but he had a non-black lawyer and expected to get the Johnny Cochran treatment. Let's be fucking for real. Okay?
And I think what happens sometimes is, like, they feel that if it's a black guy, then you want a non-black lawyer, because other, like, white people will believe a non-black person. So if you were going to get a white person, then get a white person. But the problem is, they don't know how to communicate the issue, and they don't know how to approach the strategy. Because the truth of the MFing matter is, you can only use that theory if you have a darn near all black jury. It can't even be a Latino jury. And it damn sure can't be no Asian jury. Who was on this jury? Well, first of all, not 12 people, 6. Let's start there. 6 people, 3 Caucasians, 2 that were either Asian or Latino. And we already know the Asians think they're white. So let's just say that a lot of the time. Okay.
And so do the Latinos. You ain't see them Cubans.
And so do some of the Latinos. So you don't know what bag you're getting in that bunch. Yeah. And then we had one black lady. We had one black lady of the 6. You cannot put that pressure on that one black lady, even if she believes you. And they said that there were times where she was like, that's right, that's this, that's that. She was agreeing, when we know, because I've been that one black juror before. And what happens is, there's only so much we can defend you for. Yeah. And then it just gets to a point where, one, we are emotionally tired because we want to get the heck home. Okay. They pay you like $5 a day to do this shit.
Come on now.
Okay. And we got to go to work and make some money.
You put me on jury selection, you going to jail. Straight up. I ain't gonna hold you.
which is a whole nother issue. Like, because Black people, we need us on the
Lock
jury.
his ass up.
But
Next.
part of the problem is we a lot of times can't afford to do the jury duty.
I'm going to Ghana.
Can you show her picture and then put this lawyer's picture up on here? Can
Please
you show it?
please put her
This is
picture
her
up.
showing up to court the other day.
Come on.
I kid you not. That was her. She would wear these gold lame sneakers with the matching backpack and the furry hat. Those are flowers on the jacket gown. So she's an eclectic little woman. So when I saw that, I said, that reminded me of my, I have a rule. It says, if your lawyer got AOL, you going to jail. Okay. It's kind of like that. You going to jail. If your lawyer got AOL, you going to jail, right? Because we're not dealing with anybody who operates in today's day and age. This, knowing that you have someone who's literally trying to defend himself in the realm of public opinion, and you come in dressed like Mimi from Drew Carey, dating myself, but that was Drew Carey's secretary who used to slap on makeup like she was the little Miss Piggy, okay, looking crazy and always unmatched. When you see that, it also gives you less credibility. So we had those things, but yes, I want to make sure too that I just real quickly say that Black theme, that was the worst thing. You got see when you're dealing with white people, and I'm gonna say that when you're trying to convince Caucasians, you either do it with capitalism or you do it with a literal interpretation of the law. So with respect to capitalism, I always say you fight capitalism with it. But with literal interpretation of the law, you have to use it against him. So against this person to define why your client's actions were reasonable in light of that stupid text message and other things. So let me define for you. Let me tell you what the actual law is, what it says. It's the two laws. Here we go. I'm gonna stop this. That he was under. Hold on. Or that applied here. Which were, it was assault and it was harassment. And these are both very stupid things. Hold on.
Third and second degree, right?
Right. And I'm going to read to you I'm sharing it on screen too, but you don't have to share it. But here, assault, first harassment. So he was charged with harassment in the second degree. Here, this is what's crazy. The harassment was him picking her up and putting her back when he's trying to escape. So she's beating him upside the head, okay, in the SUV after she sees the text. She's scratched him sufficient where his chin is broke, his arms have scratched. He tells the driver, stop, so that he can jump out. She then tries to jump out and she's grabbed his jacket, pulled buttons off his jacket, pulled the pocket off, all those things. He's trying to get out. She's trying to run with him. Now, at this point, she's drunk-ish, so it appears he's putting her back into the cab. That they determined was the harassment. Harassment is defined in this instance as if Jonathan engages in a course of conduct or repeatedly commits acts which alarm or seriously annoy another person and, quote, serve no legitimate purpose. I think she didn't, he clearly was touching her. I'm sure it was annoying to her, to be moved, but she should have focused on, hey, it served a legitimate purpose, which was to allow him to get the hell away from her.
You're saying that this is the argument his lawyer should have presented.
That's what I'm saying. It wasn't made, but could have been made for explaining why him putting her back into the car is not abuse. It's not domestic violence, and it's not even harassment, particularly when you're dealing with a drunk girl and the guy was driving her home. I'm saying she's drunk and she's going to get out and she's going to chase me. Or I put her back in the vehicle to get her safely home for her drunk ass. Okay. So that's why I'm saying the no legitimate purpose is this definition is what was the issue, because they're saying it was a course where he has, in the course of conduct, committed an act which alarmed or seriously annoyed her. So that's the harassment. Secondly, the assault. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was going to ask a question. You have as an attorney, you have no say so in what the DA charges, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have any charge. But what you do, all you can control is the defense and the definitions that are provided. You get to assist with the definitions and explanations that are provided to the jury. Because you can do that through presentation, other thing. And then the second one is the misdemeanor assault. That was where a person intentionally or recklessly or negligently causes physical injury to another. The jury found he did not intentionally hurt her finger, but that he recklessly hurt her finger. But again, that's why if I felt they should have used, instead of the theme of race, the theme should have been theft. She stole his phone. He was getting it back. In the same way, if they were two strangers, a stranger snatched his phone and in grabbing it back, that stranger sprains their finger. It's not a crime.
And you're saying this is what his lawyer should have.
But she used race. So what I'm saying is by focusing on race as her theme,
I agree. That
was goofy. And then the second part of the theft theme that I thought should have been important that I didn't understand as a lawyer is, so after this, I don't know if you guys saw, if you go to my YouTube, if you go to, and my YouTube channel is Girl Is That Legal. Thanks to my viewers who are, watching from there. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. But if you go to my Instagram, part 2 of my Jonathan Majors breakdown, I include video footage. So after she won't get back in the car and he takes off running from her after she scratched up his arm and all this, while she's running, she runs into some strangers on the street. She's talking with the strangers on the street and invites them to go to a nightclub with her. So she doesn't go to the hospital, but she does go to the nightclub. And the video footage there shows that she also used his credit card to buy everybody drinks. Drinks on you, drinks on Jonathan, guys. For my new friends that I met on the street corner while chasing him down the street, I would have immediately told my client, you're going to go down to the police station. And okay, they've just arrested you for this. You go down and you file a police report for fraud. And then you give it to American Express and you say that those were fraudulent transactions. Because American Express is going, first of all, they take anything off if you got a police report.
They sure do.
You don't even have to have a police report and they'll take it off.
Do. You don't.
That should have been, and then that could have been another exhibit and evidence of, we're not dealing with a victim here. We're dealing with a woman seeking revenge. She was getting my phone because she wanted to see more. And, she stole it from me and I took it right back. And then she's trying to get revenge by taking my credit card and using this. So what you're dealing with is a vengeant person. When she gets drunk, she's vengeant. And I feel like it's a lot easier with the two definitions that I shared on the screen prior, right? That's a tough definition of assault because that form of assault, it doesn't care if what you did was an accident. It could be, as long as it was reckless. Well, you could say, it wasn't reckless. I'm getting my shit back. And the jury here, this is important. The jury here, their first question was, they told the judge, we don't understand what this stuff means. Can you give us some definitions? And the judge gave them definitions. For me, in a good closing argument, you put up the definition you want them to have on the doggone screen and point to it. And then point to the evidence that fits. Not guilty. Let's go. Come on.
Yeah. So, again, I just want to make it clear. What you're saying is this is what the lawyer should have came with.
Right.
And that would have been her way of negating everything that they were coming at her with.
The things that she could, correct. Because what she couldn't negate were those text messages.
No. But what we're talking about is, because I've even said this on my YouTube too. To me, we're still not sure of what happened in the car. Now, you do have like the driver coming forward, but the driver didn't speak English and the driver was not looking at them. The driver said, from what he could tell, so this is the driver and they're behind him and he's just driving. He said he heard Grace being agitated and like her basically being the agitator. But that also coincides with what she said. It coincides with what she said in the text messages. It coincides with what she said in her testimony. She was the one who saw, hey, you know, how I wish I could be kissing you right now. We don't know who that
Right.
was. We don't know if that was Megan Coretta Scott King on the line. We don't know who was on the line. But somebody was on the line saying, oh, how I wish I could just touch the hem.
True.
You know what,
What
I'm
do
saying?
you think
The
happened
hem of
in
your
the car?
garment.
The hem of
Because
your
here's the
garment.
thing: the only injury. So there's only 2 injuries, right? And so the injuries were the finger, and then she had a cut behind her ear. The jury ultimately found that cut.
She did also have the lacerations here.
There weren't. So initially, he was charged with strangulation. She
Right.
herself admitted there was no strangulation, and that never happened. And so I believe that that's why the next stuff was not addressed, and it was not a reason for the guilty verdict. Go ahead. Yes.
But remember, too, Grace has a tendency to not say what he has done. The text messages, like throughout their relationships, it presents him telling her, coaching her, hey, these are things you shouldn't say. And you also have her saying, like, there was one time when he hit her so bad her head was throbbing for days. And she was like, I've been in pain. I'm in a lot of pain. And he's like, I don't think you understand what would happen if you go to the hospital. You know what I'm saying? So again, it's like, for me, I don't know exactly what, when I saw him putting her back in the car, I thought that was excessive. Just my opinion. I thought it was excessive. The way he just like, because Jonathan is a big old man. That is a big old, that's a big old fine ass civil rights built man. Okay. And the way he flung that little lady back in that car, that was a little excessive for me, for my liking. So
What do you think how do you think he should have done? Now, mind you,
Yeah.
she was so strong that she could then follow him all those blocks down the street and do all that. But if you love your
she's
girlfriend, if you
right.
know she's drunk, if you know she's safe in this vehicle that's about to take her home, and that you're about to go get a hotel room because this is too much, what is the appropriate way to get her back in the vehicle? I don't know.
Well, it's my opinion that I feel that she wanted to exit the car because I think he had her phone. So that's my opinion. And the reason why I came up with that opinion is because when you see her running, okay, so she's running after him, she doesn't have anything in her hand. Then she runs into those other people, she still doesn't have anything in her hand. You see them give her a phone for her to use. So when I was seeing that, I was like, oh, he must have had her phone, or he must have had something that belonged to her as well. It's like, we're not just gonna fist fight in this car and you just run off like nothing happened. Like that's what I'm thinking.
And that's really reasonable, but that wasn't what she testified to.
What did she say?
She didn't say anything about the phone, about him having any of her belongings, or that she basically testified that they got out of the car. She was upset, and that she's chasing him down the street trying to talk with him. But he didn't have any of her stuff, her belongings. I don't know if, like, on the left side, I know what part you're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't know if she may have had like a purse up here or a jacket or whatever, but she had her purse and her stuff well enough for her to be able to use his credit card to buy everybody drinks that night. But what I'm saying is, what you're thinking to me makes perfect sense too. And if she's chasing him down the street to get her stuff, even though it's not what you would expect of a victim, that makes sense. But given that she herself she had 4 days on the stand and never said, I was going to get my purse, I was going to get my bag, he took this stuff. The prosecution would have used that to say he took her phone to prevent her from calling for help. They never did any of that, right? They never did any of that. And she later linked up with one of her homegirls. So it was a person she knew and then strangers. But that made the most sense to me. But in the vehicle, right, I also want to clarify the testimony of the driver. The driver's testimony is first, and he was the prosecution's witness. First, they asked prosecution, did you see anybody hit anybody, or who hit who? The driver said she hit him. And then they had the driver clarify, well, did you turn around? Did you see it? But you were driving, but this, that. And that's when they clarified, well, no, I didn't turn around. But the first statement was she hit him. And then the second one was, my face was always straight. And the attorneys were able to clarify that the reason the reason the driver thought it was her because of the sounds, right?
Right.
because of the sounds and how it happened. You know, you got two people behind you. If you hear a hit come from this way, or whatever it might
Yeah, you
be.
hear it.
But I want to be clear on how she said he hit her. Her statement was, she said, I grabbed his phone and I turned this way. And then he took my arm and he twisted it behind my back and he bopped me in my head. He basically, he was trying to like go over her to get the phone. And then in grabbing her arm, he's grabbing her arm and he did this. And at some point, she doesn't know how, he's over her and he bops her in the head at some point. That was it. Again, all of these things sound to me like somebody trying to get their phone back, but not,
But you don't feel like that's excessive though? Like, cause when she breaks down what happened in the car, I believe it. I believe it 100%. I believe it. I feel like the injuries match what she said was done to her. I think the ear injury matches when I saw him putting her back in the car. I feel like that's possible. That's when that happened.
So y'all, it was an injury right here. The state's expert said that the injury could be consistent with her version, and then the defense expert said no, it wasn't. And that was because it was literally behind the ear right here.
Behind the ear.
Yeah, but that again, that's not consistent with a bop on the head, like a hit on the head.
I think the bop on the head was what she said happened in the car.
I'm talking in the car.
Yeah. So
she's saying he hit her. The only time she was hit was in the car.
Right. That's why I'm like, when people are like, "Oh, she lied." The video to me matches when she said she was hit. She never said she was hit outside the car.
Correct. Never.
She was not hit outside the car. This was him trying to fling her back into the car. So I just think in my opinion, I feel that the things that she said that he did to her, right, while trying to get his phone back. And even as you seemingly like, you're saying, well, you know, if he did that, that is someone getting their phone back. Me, in my personal opinion, I just feel like that's excessive. I feel like it is excessive because I feel like, Jonathan, this is not a stranger to you. This is your girlfriend. And this is your girlfriend who you have a certain history with. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I just felt like that was a little excessive. And then in addition to that too, when she's outside with the people, you know, Jonathan coolly walks by. And when I see him coolly walk by, I'm thinking about all the other text messages that they've had. I feel like he's looking to see, like, what is she saying? What's happening? I, for the life of me, don't understand. I understand, but I don't understand why, after running for all those blocks, right? And this woman, from what he says too, that he was injured in this too, right? Why you didn't go to the police from that night? Why did you just try to make it seem like, you know what, this happened, I'm gonna go stay at a hotel, I'm gonna come back the next morning, I'm gonna call the police and act like I don't know what happened? That to me, again, was another dock down, because it's like, you're trying to act like you don't know what the fuck just happened last night. And you weren't forthcoming. You weren't forthcoming. And here's the thing. I'm saying I understand, but I don't understand. I understand, but I don't understand. I think
it's because, but the overall, the thing that they did use was that he was fearful of calling the police because he felt he wouldn't get the benefit of the doubt. He felt he wouldn't be believed, which was ultimately what did happen here. And so, as far as him calling the police, it's actually, I feel like, why didn't she? My first thought was, she's the one that's supposed to be the victim relevant to this. Not only did she not call the cops, she went to the nightclub and bought people drinks with his money. To me, that is the least victim. Not to mention she had just sprinted 4 New York blocks to, get in touch with, to try and keep up and get this guy to forgive her after he allegedly just assaulted her. But for me, the fact that he went and he got in a hotel room, and he went to a hotel room and he got his own place. He was almost home. So he could have just as easily said, I'm going to go home and lock you out. But he didn't do that. He was like, I'm going to let her take her drunk ass home, and I'm going to go get a room and then give it enough time. Hopefully, things have chilled out. But then he gets home and the chick is knocked out pantsless on the floor of the closet. And so I can understand at that point saying, okay, now I have to call the cops, because here we got a white woman knocked out pantsless on the floor of my closet. I don't want to be blamed for this, which is ultimately what happened. But I just feel like the type of abusers that I know, the ones that I know, they wouldn't go and get a hotel room. They are going to lock you out and make you sleep on the curb or wherever. Like, that's just not consistent to me with someone who just attacked you. And her version of the attack, the only thing she said were that she never said anything about the neck. The only injuries that were in play was the behind the ear and the finger. Well, the jury said he was not guilty of this injury behind the ear because they felt that it could have happened at any point from her getting out of the car to the club night to whatever made her pass out pantsless on the floor, because his expert said it would be more implied it would be more consistent with something like a falling injury, or an injury that could have taken place, at any other point, particularly because it's very directly right here. Like, it wouldn't even happen
It's
from
right behind
this.
the ear.
Yeah, it would, something occurred there. But I say that to say,
it could have been her earring back scratched
it's
up
the top of the ear, but it was the top of the ear. She didn't have an earring up. It
Was
literally
it top of the ear? I thought it was right behind. I thought it was right, literally.
Yeah, when I saw
Okay.
it,
At the
it was
crease.
lower.
The
Yeah.
crease.
It
When I
absolutely
looked up, it was lower. Yeah.
It could be. But I think I am sensitive to what you are like. What you're saying is very important, because you're saying, I'm sure, what the people in the jury room ultimately agreed with. They, at the end of the day, with the definitions that I already put up, all of that, whatever, if you don't feel that his level of force or aggression or what he did was reasonable, then yes, you have to find him guilty. And I think that that's what it was, which is what happens when you are lily white and you're smaller and you're a bigger guy like that. You got to take your licks for a large part of it. You got to take your licks in an instance like that. I personally don't think there was anything he could have done to prevent the finger injury, but to the extent of the other, her ear injury, which again, the jury didn't believe happened in the vehicle. Could have happened at a different point. But
may I say this? I think just like how the text messages show that Jonathan clearly had a pattern with her, she had a pattern as well, which was going out to drink. She I've seen so many people call her drunk because, we even have a recording of him politely scolding her for going out and coming back to the house drunk. For me, I'm just thinking, I just got to this fist fight with my man. This man done got his Forrest Gump on. I'm trying to get my, Usain Bolt on behind his ass. Maybe I'm just going to go out and drink too. I don't want to ultimately go back home to this. This is the energy that they're both on. It looks like they were either headed out on, for a night on the town or coming back from
they were
it.
coming back from one.
Yeah, okay, they were coming back from it. I don't think sis wanted to go home to that. It just, the environment and the tone of their relationship, to me, just, if I were her, maybe I wouldn't have gone to the nightclub. Maybe I would have gone to my auntie house or something. I'm just thinking about, in New York, I go to a family member house or somebody's house. I don't think I would want to go immediately home after fighting in a cab with my man either. And I think that actually, I think that's very normal for a domestic, abusee, is we just had this fight. What's going to happen when we get back home? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? It's not just going to poof and be gone. You know what I mean? So yeah, while I think, okay, a night out is not what I would do, I'm not a white drunk lady. You know what I mean? Like, this is the type of woman that Jonathan chose. He chose to continue a relationship with a girl who likes to get drunk and it would ask her for Black women's energy. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I get it, but I still think that I think it was not a bad idea not to go back home. And then I
Okay.
still feel like him coming back, and man, I don't know what happened. I just, that also, I feel like, okay, once he said that and the police come, right? But then all the footage comes out and it's like, so you was sitting here acting like you ain't know what happened the night before. The
But he
DA,
did tell them. He told them we had a fight. But like he told, like, yeah, in the footage, he said we had a fight. He said,
I'm talking about I guess I'm talking about the initial call that he made to 911.
okay.
He was like, hey, I can't gain access to her. It kind of, in the call, it kind of sounds like he's saying like, hey, my girl, she's in the apartment. I can't get to her. From what I remember. So then when the police come, it's like, well, I mean, she was in the closet. So it's just, you get what I'm saying? It's like, I get it. You're a black man. I get it. I feel like he was tootsie rolling around a lot of things,
Trying to distance himself.
Right. Because he's a black man, and I get it. But you in too deep, baby. And then there's too much evidence. So I feel like for him, the tootsie roll was one thing. For his lawyer to come on and start tootsie rolling too, it wasn't a good look. It just wasn't.
I agree.
It wasn't. It was too
I think this is a case of right answer, wrong maths, right? When you get to the right answer, but you use the wrong maths.
Yeah.
And I say that in a sense of, I think when you break it down, Simone, what he's actually being done for doesn't actually make sense, personally. If they're going based upon the car situation, they both got some part to play in. It's a fight.
That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
If it's going by the car situation alone, and that's what we're basing the convictions on, then I wouldn't put him down as guilty. I'd put him down as, these two are fighting stupidly. He was cheating, whatever. This happens in normal relationships. Someone's cheated, someone finds out, she grabbed your phone, he tried to prise the phone out of her hand. Then you leave it at that.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
You're saying that as a black man. I feel like white people, their look on DV is totally different.
That is true.
What we see as it was a fight, they don't see it that way. And to be honest, I lean with their view on that. Because I feel
is that because
like
they see a black man in it, or is that because they actually don't see like that? Because if
they
we're
don't
saying
see
that,
like that, period.
Because Ezra Miller is a great example of how they see it.
Ezra Miller there hasn't been any cases. Has he had a case?
Well, that's the reason. This is why I'm saying what they see. This is what we see. But convictions different.
I know the name and I heard a little bit about it. I never really dove into the whole Ezra Miller case, right? Let's look at Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, for instance,
exactly.
Right? Yeah. So many people say there's so many similarities here, which I feel like, to be honest, there's more similarities to me when it comes to this case to Tory and Megan. And the reason why I say that is because Grace never pressed charges. She didn't want this. Grace wanted to stay with that man.
Absolutely.
She wanted to stay with him. She called him how many times that night? She didn't care. She wanted to be with her man. And so, and why I say it's similarities with Megan is not because Megan wanted to be with Tory, but Megan did not want the case. Megan did not press charges. She wanted to protect Tory. And so I see the same thing with Grace. Now, where I see the similarity with Amber Heard is, and I feel a lot of people are forgetting that Amber Heard and Johnny Depp had two cases. First case, they settled. They were both supposed to just go their merry way. Amber violated that settlement by talking about him. And her thing was, well, I didn't say his name. Remember? I didn't say his name. Bitch, we all know who the fuck you talking about. You talking about that funky ass pirate. We know who you talking about, girl. We ain't stupid. You know what I'm saying? We know who you talking about. And so that's what brought them back in court. And Sister Girl didn't think for 1 second that they would pull all the receipts on her to show, hey, both of y'all. In this case, I feel like with Johnny and Grace, it's not that. Because they were never able to pull those receipts for Grace. And I think another bad move on his lawyer too. This was another way she tootsie rolled too. She made Grace the enemy instead of making the DA the enemy.
Yes.
I agree.
Again,
1,000%. Go
I'm
ahead, Counsel Wu. Yes.
Listen, I'm
1,000%.
not a lawyer. Like, I wish you would have been in my life to tell me not to major in political science, but I did major in political science. I did. And I was going to go to law school. But no, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But when I looked at the case, I was like, girl, you are making Grace Jabari the enemy. Before you see this case play out, you already have Jonathan countersuing her, like suing her instead of suing the DA. If you
can't. Yeah, you can't do that.
You can't sue this.
It's not an option.
So you can't sue. What about when people get wrongful convictions?
First you have to prove it's wrongful. The state has immunity. They have an immunity. But I hear you.
So you can never sue. You can never sue the state
unless you have to first be found innocent or exonerated or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's okay. So I had my wording wrong, but that's what I mean. I felt like she should have let this play out and then have him sue. But no, she had him sue her. What is suing her going to do?
Yeah, I think the hope was that charges would be pressed. So if charges get pressed against her, then it allows him to bring that up in court and be like, she was so violent with me that, there's also been a case against her. But she must not do a lot of criminal law, because criminal law 101 is that the DA's office will never charge or pursue any active key witness as long as someone is like in a mutual violent case, right? Because it's called tainting the witness. If it's a domestic situation, you're either going to drop the case because both of them were hitting each other, but you're never going to have two case numbers pending at the same time for two people, because all you're going to do is ask for a bench trial to the judge and say, hey, judge, she's getting prosecuted for the same thing, which means there must be probable cause, which means if there's probable cause, you can't have a reasonable doubt.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which is why I'm saying right answer, wrong. I said right answer, wrong maths. It's not that I don't believe that he didn't abuse her. I think he did. I can't lie to you. But I think it's also a little bit on her side. But
he was beating that lady ass.
I don't know about that, but I know that definitely he would have been there. I think there's definitely some emotional aspects coming into that play because the evidence presents that, right? So that's why I said right answer, wrong maths, because what he's convicted for is the wrong maths, but the answer's got to a right place, right? Because when we see some of the evidence and some of the text, I can see how that can end up. We've seen her change. We see her how she defends him, and obviously, if you've spent any time with anybody who's gone through DV, you can tell by the way she's defending him. And me personally, I've never asked any of my girlfriends that if they've got her, just want you to be careful when you go to the hospital, just in case I get in trouble. Like, I've never thought about that.
It's just
That's not my thought process. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not on my thought process. So the fact that he's thinking that tells me that there's something else that's probably gone on, and
Let me set this up.
You've done some stuff. You know what I mean? And I don't think that's him being over conscious about the fact that she's white and he's black. I think that is a consciousness knowing that something has happened between you two, which is illegal, and which is criminal, and that is abusive to the other parties. So I definitely think there's something there. Plus, there was smoke already from past people coming up saying that some things had happened. So I'm saying right answer, wrong maths, because what he's convicted of, I don't think he should have been convicted of. But the answer is still right, because I think there was some issues with his current girlfriend, and I think this serves as a good warning for him to stop that shit. Yeah, stop playing that shit, because you shouldn't be caught several times texting saying those kind of things. They shouldn't be there at all. You shouldn't be having this kind of conversation at all, because you're not doing that kind of behavior. So for me, it's like there's no smoke without fire. You know what I mean? Like, there's something definitely there behind the scenes. So whether he hit or not, that's another situation I've seen. But he definitely was doing a lot, because the emotional warfare that he was putting on her, emotional abuse, is evident. So I would say right answer, wrong.
Do you think that, or do you think that perhaps there's a differing communication style though, because she's British? Like, I've lived in London before, and literally the way they communicate, their style is very different. It's especially white girls. It's very demure. It's very well, I just don't, I want to make you happy. I just, which is consistent with the way that people, you know, who have been abused previously communicate. But I was, as I was reading these, I was wondering, okay, to what extent is this her communication style as a British woman? Because let me tell you, if this was a American white woman talking like this, I absolutely would be like, yeah, something is wrong. This is weird. But because I've lived over there, I was like, I don't know, maybe she's British.
Yeah, but I just feel like look at the text messages. I will tell the doctor I bump my head if I go. I can't sleep. I need some stronger painkillers.
Mhm.
That's all. Like,
Let me set him up. Yeah.
But then his whole thing is like, well, last night I considered killing myself.
Let me kind of set up the backstory of how these text messages.
Last night I decided, you know what? I'm just going to delete myself. How about that?
I know. But I just want to be clear. So there was, prior to the trial starting, there was this huge motion that Jonathan Majors' team did to keep these messages out. They actually wanted to keep these messages out, as well as that audio message where he's talking about Coretta King, because it was found that they were not relevant to this incident of whether or not the abuse happened March 25th. And because they found they were not relevant and they were more prejudicial than they would be relevant. So I just want to be very clear that these messages, they refer to 6 months prior, there was some type of incident between the two of them in London. And as a result of that incident, this is the communication. She ultimately did go to the hospital, but the court did not allow any of that in initially. What happened, and the way that it did ultimately get in this case, is because Jonathan's lawyer had Grace on the stand and asked Grace, did he ever try to prevent you from seeking medical attention?
Wait a minute. Jonathan's lawyer asked her that?
Yes, boo. That's why I want to explain this. This is really important.
Jonathan's lawyer is how this got in the case.
Yes.
I wouldn't hire that bitch to fight a parking ticket.
Yes. So I want to just make sure you guys know that. So she asked Grace.
Hey, no, go ahead. I'm sorry. That's
why I love doing this, because I want you, whatever opinion you have, I just love it when people are able to have it with all the facts. So, you know, and this may make you feel even stronger, you know, confident in how you feel. But so Jonathan's lawyer said, Grace, did he ever try to prevent you from seeking medical attention? Oh, girl said yes, because she was referring to the London event. Jonathan's lawyer then started going in on her to make her out to be a liar. So basically was showing, no, he didn't. We don't have any records of this. We don't have any of this. We don't have any of that, whatever. And doing that, although they had the prior ruling that says these can't come in, the prosecution said, oh, Your Honor, I object. We need to approach and said, Your Honor, we now need to let these in to be able to show that Grace is not a liar, because this woman has now attacked Grace's character for truth and honesty. We need to be able to let this in to show that Grace ain't a liar. She was referring to the London event, not New York. And that is how this got in.
His lawyer was an ops. Like I said, right answer, wrong. I said right answer, wrong maths.
Wow.
His lawyer was an ops.
Right. Because I was listening to the Breakfast Club. I love you on there, by the way, Jesse. I love you on there. You need to be one of their co-hosts.
That's just hilarious. That's not me.
No, I know she's on. You've been on there before. No, you weren't a co-host. You weren't a co-host. You haven't been a guest. What?
I'm on Dish Nation.
I know regularly.
Oh, yeah.
I felt like you had, maybe it was a podcast, but you and Charlamagne had chemistry before. But I know you're not just hilarious. You've never been on the Breakfast Club.
Just like, wait, hold on a minute.
No, I know. Like,
no problem. Because people, and no issue to her. Because, like, I mean, we work together, and people will say Jesse. They'll get me mistaken to her.
So, but what I was going to say is, on the Breakfast Club the other day, whoever, it wasn't just hilarious. The girl that was on as the guest host that day, when she reported it, she reported as though these text messages pertained to the incident that caused the whole trial. And I just want to be clear, no, that's not true at all. These were for 6 months prior. But I
Mm.
understand that this conversation clearly implies that something physical happened between the two of them. And most importantly, Jonathan says to her, he says, they will ask you questions, as in when you go to the hospital. And as I don't think you actually protect us, it could lead to an investigation, even if you do lie and they suspect something. So that implies she offered to lie, and he's saying that lie is not going to be enough. And then she responds, I'll tell the doctor I bumped my head if I go.
Right.
I'm going to give it one more day. And then she says, because I can't sleep, I need painkillers. Why would I want to tell them what really happened when it's clear I want to be with you? And then he responds and says, all this stupid stuff. I feel like you want to be together, as in to not embarrass yourself for everything you've said to your friends and family. Last night, I considered killing myself versus coming home.
Lord, I'm sorry. The amount of times this man, offered to delete himself for this lady, I'm so sorry. And I know it's not like a laughing matter, but Jonathan is very unserious. Okay, he was never going to delete himself.
I see why he went to jail for drama. He acts like he's on the stage.
I'm telling you, he is a soap opera. He is a walking theater show. Even in the recording, I'm like, look at this man. And I'll never forget. And this is just a side note, but when I was reading this, when I would read the text messages of him always trying to delete himself, I remember when I was in a relationship one time, and it was with a Haitian child, and he had told me he only used that on me one time. He only said it one time. You know what? I'm going to kill myself. I said, here go the car keys. Do it.
Next time you say, can you wait a week? I'm going to get some life insurance on you.
I'll use that next time. I said, map compedeo, epi map gado.
Absolutely. Because it's policies that'll cover it now, girl.
I have to find one. And of course he didn't do it. It's like, so Grace and let me say something. Grace and John,
they deserve each other. Well, if you believe she wasn't, nobody deserves abuse.
Yeah,
but
I don't
know. I think that the two of them are toxic together.
Very toxic.
That's why when I say they deserve each other, I mean so they can get on each other's nerves and not the rest of the world.
Very toxic. They was both in there. They was both in there just having a full-on production every day. It's ridiculous.
Because she would say the same thing. And one of the messages where I think she didn't think he was going to pick up her phone or take her back, she talked about taking her life too. So the two of them, that's how they communicated, and they used to do that little foolish, goofy stuff.
Wait. She said she wants to take her life too.
Oh yeah, she said it in one. She said it.
See, I didn't see that. I didn't see that part.
It was only one that I saw.
Yeah, it was a different text message. It hasn't been on the screen yet. But she said stuff too. But I really think, Jesse, you're right. Like in billing her as a drunk, etc. They could have made her a drunk victim, but of the system and of the process, and say, you know what, she drinks a lot. She doesn't remember all of these things, or this, that, and the third. So she doesn't use the best judgment, and she can't always necessarily see what happens. But here, the prosecutors have manipulated her into this in order to whatever they could have said, in such a way that doesn't make people. At the end of the day, okay, I went to Cornell Law, right? Upstate New York. I'm not bragging. I'm saying from the perspective of it's in Ithaca, New York. Okay. Yeah. And when I was in law school, I did a clinic. It was the criminal defense clinic. I had to represent this little bitty man. He looked like Bushwick Bill. Okay. It was for like an assault against his baby mom. And there was a protective order against the two. And I said, look, it was a situation where the two of them were fighting, but she had a mark or it was something dumb. There was a order to stay away. I said, she's going to call you. Don't you pick up the phone. It would be a violation. You're going to get sent back to jail. I said, because look at you and look at her. He's about 5 foot. She's about 5'8". I said, you are a little black man and she is a big fat white lady. Nobody's sympathizing for you. And you're Katrina people, because he had just came. This was right after Hurricane Katrina. I said, no one, even if you're the victim, no one's going to believe you. So you need to proceed accordingly. And that's the case here. If with the two of them, their size and all of that, that's difficulty. But then when you make litigation errors, such as the one that let this in And then the audio recording calling him about Coretta. I don't know why that was relevant, but those two things, whether he was found guilty or not, was ultimately found guilty or not, I believe in the court of public opinion, people are going to be like, nope, I'm done. He's a weirdo. I'm out.
I think it was relevant to kind of like back up the text messages. I think like that's how the DA saw it. It's like, not only do we have text messages, but let's let you hear it. And I think one thing I will say is the way articles, the way the press made it seem, or maybe people just weren't literally reading word for word what the press was saying before the audio came out. It just seemed like it was like, girl, you like, why you can't be like my Coretta Scott? You know what I mean? Like, it was like, why is this black man asking this white woman to reach down in her coochie and find Coretta Scott King energy? What is this? And then when you listen to it, yeah, he's very calm, but he still, to me, is very scolding, and it kind of gave a little gaslighting because. And here's why I think the recording was relevant too. Because in the recording, he said, there's a moment where he says, I'm a great man. But, take my temper. My temper, when he touched on his temper, I feel like the DA was like, he's saying
that he has a bad temper.
Yeah, I feel like he's telling you who he is. But in why I feel like it was gaslighting was, I'm telling you, yeah, I ain't shit, but I'm the shit. I ain't shit.
But clearly has a God complex.
Is he not the shit? I mean, is he not the shit?
He is the shit. That nigga's Kane. So he's like, yo, I ain't shit, but I'm
my brand. No, I wouldn't put it that way.
Right. But to me, I feel like that is the tone that the DA wanted to express to the jury. Let us tell you, because it's like, see, his lawyer came in with a water gun and was like, oh, but she be lying sometimes. And the DA was like, oh, she be lying? Oh, okay, cool. So here go the text messages. Here go more text messages. Oh, and we got a recording too. Let's go ahead and press play on that. We got a recording of him asking a white woman to reach down in her coochie and find black women energy. Let's go ahead and press play on that. Like, the DA was loaded. Like, they were fucking loaded. And they're like, oh, okay, so now you want to start a character case. Okay, cool. Here's the character of your client.
But I do feel like, okay, just from the factual standpoint, I feel like it's weird as heck to audio record your boyfriend. Like, the only reason you would do that is if you think you can use it for some leverage later. Like, who even does that? So part of it made me wonder, like, all right, was she keeping this for ammunition in case later on she needed it in some capacity in dealing with him? Whether, I don't know exactly what, but whether it could be leverage in the relationship later down the line, or if they were to break up. But that struck me odd. The first thing I thought when I listened to it, of course, the first thought was, okay, he's weird as hell. But secondly, it's also weird as hell to audio record your boyfriend chastising you, unless it was probably also to let her girlfriends hear it, because that is actually consistent with the other text message where he says, I feel like you want to be together, as in to not embarrass yourself for everything that you said to your friends and family. When I read that, I thought he might be referring to the fact that she talks about their problems with her friends and family. So a lot of times, then they'd be like, well, leave them. And he's saying, you don't want to be embarrassed because they've been telling you to leave me and you stick around. But in part, they're saying it based on you sharing this toxic shit that we got going on.
Have y'all ever recorded a conversation with you and somebody else that you're dating?
I can't confirm or deny.
Video? Yes, but I've never done audio.
So
confirm or deny?
I did an audio, and I did it last year. Shut up, Kojo. There was one guy that I dated, and this was very brief, just a couple months of just casually dating. And there was a phone call that he made to me at 4 a.m. And as soon as the call came in, I said, record. And if you hear it, it's just him. It's just him. Like, and I saved the recording and I sent it to him a week later. I said, I want you to hear the way you talk to me.
Got it.
I hear that.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It's like when I would tell him, I would say, yo, this is how you come off. This is how you talk. No, that's not true. And he's a Sagittarius. Please don't date Sagittarius. Oh my God. Please do not date
I need y'all to lead the zodiacs in 2023.
No. We're not leaving that. No, we're not leaving that.
Leaving them zodiac in 2023, people. Let's look at character, not the zodiac. Okay. Go to the C, not to the Z. Okay. Leave the zodiac alone.
Let me tell you, when I sent it to him, he's like, oh.
You didn't know.
Oh, he knew. I think I was the first person to ever challenge him. And then I went so far as to let me give you evidence. Here is how you sound. This is how you talk. And almost immediately after, like, we just stopped talking because he knew it wasn't gonna go anywhere. I got you.
Probably embarrassed.
Yeah. It's embarrassing. This is how you talk. You a grown ass man. There's no reason why you should talk to anybody's daughter this way. You know what I mean? So I'm just thinking in that when I saw people saying that, I was like, damn, y'all have never recorded a phone call. And I'm not saying you should, even though I've done it, but it's not something I do often. But just in this particular incident, this man kept disrespecting me.
I think it's a great example.
Yeah, I wanted him to hear. Yeah, I wanted him to hear how he sounds.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I've done something similar, but I didn't present it to the person. I didn't want them to know, but it was for my sanity because I'm like, wait, am I hearing what I'm hearing consistently in conversations? You know what I mean? And in that situation, I wouldn't say necessarily, I don't like calling it abuse. I really don't like, maybe as a man, you don't like calling it abuse in that sense, but what the person was doing, and I was like, let me just record that. Maybe I'm losing it myself. Maybe I'm losing it. You know what I mean? If it was rather for me rather than another person, I never showed a person the conversation so I can listen back to, and I'm like, no, I'm not mad. Yeah, they are really saying the shits of what they're saying. I thought I was moving mad, but no, you really are saying this. Yeah. So I do understand when people do sometimes record a conversation with kids, especially in this day and age. You know, we have technology that allows us that benefit. But if you've ever been, and I think the difficulty is if you've ever been in a relationship where the person always contradicts the narrative of what's happening. See, like if you're dealing with somebody normal, right? Let's say me and Jesse or you, Simone, we get into an argument, right? We get into an argument and we say, this is my point of view, is my point of view. You can understand, yeah? But when someone goes, no, actually, when I look at your point of view, I'm actually gonna contradict every single thing you said. It didn't gonna happen. It didn't happen like that. It didn't happen like that. It didn't happen like that. Then you start feeling like, quote unquote, as they say, gaslighted. You start feeling gaslighted.
Yeah.
And then it becomes very difficult then at that point, especially if it happens several times where the person's like contradicting everything you said, as it happening that way, that you're like, you start questioning your own mentality and your own kind of reality, especially when people start lying about things. And I'm talking about, I didn't think it was possible until it actually happened to me. Somebody literally was looking in front of me and I'm talking about the bottle of water has spilled and they're like, the water didn't spill. I said, shit, are you serious? The water spilled. And they're like, no.
Like when you're dealing with a narcissist. I could definitely see that whenever you're dealing with a narcissist because they're never wrong. They move the field goal post, all of that. I'm putting my jacket on, y'all, because somebody has something to say that I'm not dressed professionally. I promise to God, I don't get dressed up when I'm not in court. I got my family jacket on. But
on your shoulders anyway. Don't worry, you're good.
Thank you. Well, yeah, I got my tits are covered. But yeah, I don't get dressed up when I'm not going to court or going to Zoom court or regular court. So I'm so sorry if that disgusts you and you decided that I'm no longer a legitimate lawyer. My bad. But I did want to know, Jesse, did you see the photos of his injuries, like his scratches, and how you've been explaining? I wanted to talk about that because I think you've done a good job of explaining what you feel is reasonable in light of their size differentials and everything. Because at the end of the day, the jury gets to determine what's reasonable, reckless. That's what they found, that he was being reckless with her and that's how she got injured. And all of those things take into account the level of threat you think each person is.
Yeah. You know, I'm glad that you were one of the few, people that I saw post that. So on my YouTube page, whenever I've, talked about the story, I always brought in official articles like People, Variety, Rolling Stone. None of them had at least none of the articles I came across had this. So it wasn't until really like Kojo sent me what the video of you breaking that down. I was like, oh, so he did it. Because I was always like, I mean, he wasn't found with any injuries. I would have thought that he would have had scratches or something, at least a scratch.
I said the same thing.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I definitely want you to break down to us how this was introduced, or even if it was introduced, because I kind of feel like a lot of outlets did not cover that, and I want to understand why. But also, I will say this, that I'm not surprised.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the way she explained the confrontation, I don't think she was just sitting there just taking the lashing.
Right.
Yeah.
You're
so
right.
yeah. So I'm not surprised.
And I think that too, put her description, the driver's description of them going, and like as women, we know how we would behave, right? If I just caught my man cheating on me and I'm going for his phone, I'm going for whatever needs to be gone for. Like I had a situation before where I was dating this loser. We were at a restaurant. He told me that he was my boyfriend at the time. He told me I was being disobedient because I was going on I wanted to go on my annual girls trip, and he said I shouldn't go anymore now that we're together. And because I refused to not go, he said, "Oh, you know what? You think you don't need a man? You don't think you don't need me? Fine, pay for your own meal." And he like gets up and walks out on the bill. So I got up too, and then started walking down the street, and then the waiter comes chasing us. Long story short, I ended up having to pay the bill. I was mad, and he had left his cell phone. I'm sorry, he left his car keys, his house keys in my car. I was basically refusing to give it to him until he reimbursed me for the meal he took me to. And in doing so, he called the cops and told the cops I had his keys. But at some point, he gets into my car and he's trying to get my purse that had the keys in it. And I remember I am clawing him. I'm doing everything because I'm like, no, I don't want you to get in my car, get my purse and get nothing out. That's your personal problem. And I hate you now. So I just say that to say, I agree that these injuries seem consistent. Now, this one here, this first one, you can put on the screen real quick. Kojo, this is a pillow. This was actually, according to Business Insider, this was introduced. This one is a defense exhibit in the domestic violence case that shows what he alleges is dried blood from a scratch to his face caused by Grace. And then it's got these timestamps in yellow, and the timestamps are consistent with him running to the hotel, staying in the room, and this coming from his face. That is actually up here is the scratch. Let me show it to you. There's a scratch like right around here. So that's supposed to be the scratch to his face. The face doesn't make as much sense. I mean, she was, going in on him. Then there's this one. This one is his arm, which is also consistent with them fighting over a phone. And, these are scratches that women leave on men when we're really mad at you and we want your phone. This, and let me just read the caption there to see. Jonathan Majors' defense exhibit. Yes, so these scratches were also admitted. Then this is an exhibit that shows his coat. The point here is to show that she ripped the buttons off during their fight, that she had, such force. Yeah, both of his buttons are gone and on his civil rights jacket. It looks like at any time he could pick up a musket with that jacket on and win the war for the Union. Girl. And then this one is his jacket. This was an exhibit to show that she tore right here. It's supposed to be connected. She had such force, she tore the jacket pocket off. This probably happened outside of the vehicle, right? When she was grabbing on him, would be my guess, grabbing him, trying to get him to stay. And then he was like, unhand me, Yankee, and takes off running down the, New York for 4 blocks or what have you. But I say that to say, yeah, thank you, Jesse. I didn't see hardly anyone, including those, covering those or mention of those. And I thought that was very odd. My guess might be that they probably had somebody in the courtroom that got them. But also, I feel like this is your lawyer's job. This is the stuff that should have been leaked. This is what should have been leaked. Not that stupid text message. Are you
Thank
crazy?
you. Thank you.
If you show me his
Thank
face,
you.
if
Thank
you
you.
show me that arm, if you showed me, I want to see blood, baby. Show
Yeah.
me some blood.
Yeah.
Show me the blood, and then I'll take these little civil rights clothes,
Yeah.
Civil War clothes as well. That's what should have been released. So
Yeah. He had the worst lawyer. Jonathan don't know how to pick a woman. Jonathan don't know how to pick a lawyer, and he damn sure don't know how to pick wardrobe. Okay, his picker is fucked up.
all the way,
Because
all the
I'm
way.
sorry, it like for your lawyer to be so thirsty to leak shit. Like you said, this is the
That
shit,
isn't even persuasive.
bruh.
She should have worked like, okay, if your thing is a lot, no problem. But he needed to, I don't know, somebody must have done his PR. I'm sure he didn't do it himself. But I don't know,
Yeah.
I don't know if he hired them off of Fiverr or what. Because
Well,
remember there was that other video?
his PR was Megan Coretta Scott King good. He thought that was good enough PR. He thought he just was gonna tootsie roll into the courtroom and pick it on his arm, and people was gonna be like, you know what? Yeah, you know what? He innocent. That man is innocent. Megan would not be sitting here with no guilty black man. He is innocent. Like it just was like it's just from top to bottom. It was jokes.
Oh yeah, and they said that he was reading his Bible while during a component, like a portion of her testimony or during closing arguments, whatever. No one can take this seriously. But here's the thing. Apparently, he's supposed to be from Texas. I want to know what underfunded high school he went to. Or I anticipated it might have been, I don't think he, my guess would be he didn't grow up with a lot of black people. Here's why I'm going to say this. He behaved very, I don't think so.
With that civil rights movement in him, I'm sure, baby.
I feel like he may have gone to like white schools and been like the one black guy. I say this because he really thinks he's persuasive. And I feel
he does.
Yeah, and I feel like if he had like real black friends, like, you know, reasonable sample size of black friends, they would have been like, look, no, and no, don't do this. Don't give me that Bible. But he don't have no friends. I haven't seen any black males who are like, no, that's my boy. And that's suspect. That is suspect. I'm not here to say I think he's a great person. I am simply saying that as I understand the law, for this particular event, I don't think that he abused her. But I think the text message and those things from the prior instance absolutely give the reasonable understanding that the two of them in some kind of way got physical. Grace was obviously injured and hit her head, and that he has so much ego that he has been manipulating her into and trying to mold her into the woman of his Negro dreams.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let me ask you this. Because obviously, like you said, maybe someone was in the courtroom and got a hold of. No?
Sorry, y'all. Somebody put it in the chat. Oh, hell no. He went to Duncanville High School. Okay. That's my neighborhood. That's like literally.
Where's that?
Literally where I grew up with. Oh.
So what that mean? What that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean? Because me and Jesse, what does that mean?
It was a mixed school back then, but it means he should know better. It means he should abso-fucking-lutely know better. Okay. I used to be a judge in the adjoining suburb of Cedar Hill. Let me tell you the story. Me and my siblings used to go to school in Duncanville. And I will never forget. So my mom, although my mother looks like a white lady, my mother is Creole, so she looks like that. But my mother does not play about when it comes to like teaching her son to be wary and be careful with white girls. My brother was in Duncanville High School district, same district. He was in 6th grade. He was new to the school, 6th grade. The rule was he needed to be home by a certain time. He's at the bike rack, and this little white girl who has a crush on him, it was like, I'm not going to let you leave until you give me a kiss. And he's like, no, I got to go home. Girl, move, stop playing. He's got his bike rack. He's got his bike lock in his hand. He's swinging it. He's like, if you don't move, I'm going to hit you because I got to get my bike. I got to go. She's like, no, I just want to kiss. I just want to kiss. She like lunges towards him. He didn't mean to hit her, but she lunges towards him and she ends up getting hit in the mouth. He gets suspended from school. He gets in-school suspension. On the paper that says why, it says because he was behind the building at a time he wasn't supposed to be. I was in like 10th grade, and I said, Mom, that means she was too. If she hadn't been
Yep.
back there, she wouldn't have got hit. I said, Mom,
Exactly.
you gonna go up to that school and fight to make sure he doesn't, have this in-school suspension and blah, blah, blah. You need to let them people know. She said, nope, I'm sure not. I was like, why? I always knew I wanted to be a lawyer. I was like, what? Why? She goes, because this is a cheap lesson for right now. See, that little white girl, all she's done is cost him a day of inconvenience. Oh, and her parents came to the door, banging on the door, talking about we need to pay the medical bills. My mother said, absolutely, my son will mow. My mom said, send us the bill and my son will mow yards as long as needed to get that handled. And my mother said, I want him to see what happens when you deal with them now, where I can protect him. Him having to mow some lawns and do one day of in-school suspension is nothing compared to what will happen when he's grown and in the real world and thinks that it's totally fine and all love and dovey and only thing that matters is love. She said, so this is an inexpensive lesson. To this day, my brother does not date white girls. He'll go with a mixed one, but he will tell you to this day. And so I say that to say, for those who say you should have known better, now that I know where he's from, it's basically like Oak Cliff. Like it's a multiracial Dallas neighborhood. Back then, 2013, it's actually more Black and Latino than anybody else. So he absolutely grew up with Blacks and Latinos. And for him to go to from Duncanville to Yale, said he was an exceptional theater talent. And we know that those kids are weird. But I say that as well to say that now this is a good example to use age appropriately with your Black teen boys, with your Black young men, with your Black college students, to say, I know you love Marley, and I am sure she makes you feel great and probably does a lot of nasty things to you. But this is just one example of what can happen if you end up being in a situation that's your word versus hers, because you're not going to win. And especially if you're a bigger boy, you better take your lick. If she has a bad day and catches you doing something you're not supposed to, let her slap you across your head.
And you go. Let me ask you this.
Break up. He should have been broke up after that first set of text messages about a bump in her head.
Yeah.
We wouldn't do it.
I also feel that this wouldn't even be a case if this were a Black woman.
1000%.
If Jonathan Majors was and his girlfriend was Black, we wouldn't even be hearing about this. We would not.
Everybody would say she shouldn't have took his phone.
Yeah, we wouldn't even be hearing about this. Marvel wouldn't have batted an eye. This is Black folks' business. We don't know what's going on. We do not care. Kang starts filming January 2024. Miss us with the bullshit. Period. But
the DA would not have taken it.
No,
right?
No,
because nobody sympathizes. Jurors don't sympathize with us because first of all, they don't even look like us. And I think it is very telling that this same DA that wants to act like, there's justice in the legal system of the misdemeanor courts of the Supreme Court of New York, where this was held, but she intentionally made sure there was only one Black person on the jury. They do that for a reason. You are never going to see a DA intentionally sit an all Black jury. I don't care if the victim is Black. Okay. You'll see defense attorneys do it, but it's for a reason. And unless and until you see those kinds of things allowed to be allowed to happen, we already know. Go ahead.
I was going to ask, do you feel that this is a case that is a racist case? Like, do you feel like this, what happened to him with Grace and what happened in the courtroom and everything, do you feel that that this was all racism?
Yes, I want to answer one question that I just saw that's very important. Someone said she didn't, Callie, thank you for your comment. She said she didn't press charges. So saying watch out for the white woman doesn't make sense. Watch out for abusive men. Well, no,
I agree.
You definitely do watch out for abusive men. But the answer is yes, she did press charges. Let me be clear on that. She absolutely did press charges. That is why she was the star witness.
The state pressed charges.
Right, but she chose to cooperate. So that happens a lot. But she chose to cooperate. So basically, it's the same thing. What I'm saying is her cooperating and the state.
Hold on. Now, wait a minute. Now, hold on, Simone. Now, hold on, Simone. wait. Now hold on. Wait a minute. Now hold on.
Okay, I'm gonna clarify. I'll clarify.
Because that white lady did not. She did not want to press charges.
Okay,
And
you're right.
Charges. The DA
Let me clarify that.
press the charges. What you're saying is her cooperating is like pressing charges?
Correct. It is the equivalent. Here's why I'm saying.
Yes. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, here's why. Because her being the star witness and cooperating is the same thing. Because what happens is that if she were to sit on that stand and say, you know what, I was drunk, I was belligerent, I hit him a few times, and he was just trying to get his phone back, there would be no case. We would have no trial. And if she had said he was putting me back into the car because he knows I was drunk, the car was taking me home, and he wanted me to be safe, do you see how there wouldn't be a trial there? There would be nothing. And if the prosecution knew that that's what she was going to say, there would not be a trial. There wouldn't be any of that. So when I say it's the same thing, you are right. She is not the one that went down to the police station. When the police came to the apartment, they saw her passed out, examined her. They then immediately took him, and it started the process. She did not cooperate with the process until after it became clear that they broke up. In fact, she actually wrote 2 statements recanting and stating that, she hurt her finger via, going for his phone. She's always made clear he didn't strangle her because of the marks on her neck. That was initially what he was charged with. So that's how that got removed. But I'm saying her cooperating, you're right. It's different because she's not going straight to the police. But once she realized the relationship was not going to reconvene as it had after the last incident, then she was like, well, okay, then I'm going to press charges.
Yeah, I'm
going to cooperate to ensure that these charges stick and that he becomes found guilty. Because it would not have happened without her testifying as she did, which
of course
that testimony was contrary to her written recanting statements.
So right answer, wrong maths. Right answer,
but see,
wrong maths.
I just feel like that's such a dangerous way to look at it.
Which part?
The whole thing. I feel like
cooperation, but I mean,
here's the thing. Like as a defense lawyer, I would have presented it like that. As a defense lawyer,
and to be fair, that's what I've been in the past. I've never been a prosecutor. To be fair.
Oh, okay. So if I'm on the defense, that is exactly how I would position it. That she was perfectly fine with their relationship. She didn't even want to go down there and talk to the police. And anytime they would have brought up any communication, but you see, she is cooperating with Jonathan when he tells her not to go to the hospital. She's cooperating. Mm-hmm. So I would have presented it that way. But I think the reason why it is dangerous, though, is it paints a look on DV victims in general. So this situation here no longer serves you. So now you want to come forward. Now you want to cooperate. Now you want to say what happened. Now you know what I mean? So I feel like that's why that's a dangerous way to look at it. But I mean, shit, in the court of law, a lot of dangerous shit happens. I so happen to have a master's degree in 48 hours. Okay. I love
that show.
I watch a whole lot of 48 hours. Yeah. And when I see sometimes how these lawyers bring in arguments, I'm like, dang, this is crazy. And sometimes to see them win, sometimes it's like, damn, this is like, it's fucked up, but you know what I mean? Like you have to, like on the other side, you have to do your job. They on their job. You got to get on your job. You know what I mean? But yeah, I feel like in this case, I don't agree with that. I feel like in this case, it just was, they uncovered too much. How could she not cooperate?
And I think uniquely in that case, the whole the text message, I'll make sure this goes away,
Yeah.
all of that, whether it's this case or others, all of those, that's always consistent with the victim, right? That's always consistent with the victim. However, here, for me, what really kind of shifted me one way, it was seeing the photos of the hand injury, seeing the face, seeing the blood, knowing that they convicted him of moving her into the car, right? Of putting her back into the car and getting his phone back, right? And then the video of him running for blocks and her chasing him for blocks. If he was running and she wasn't going after him, that'd be one thing. But the two of those make me view this instead as a toxic relationship where the two of them can't seem to keep their hands off of each other, and have no business being together. So I want to be clear. I don't, as a defense attorney, always take the guy's side or disbelieve the victim all the time. But when I see situations where the person says, I was so frightened, and then I see them do something shortly right after that demonstrates they weren't, it really gives me pause. So that's how in here I'm pulling that all together. And someone commented and was like, Simone makes a lot of assumptions. I can see why you would feel that way, especially when I was describing how she cooperated with the state. Because I do this all the time, what may seem like an assumption is a lot of times is me telling you how the process works.
I was going to say that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I will say this too. I will say this too. I've had like about 3 different legal battles the last couple years. I had one that was very popular, but others, they were behind the scenes. My lawyer has pissed me off so much because my lawyer would come and tell me, this is what they're going to say. This is what they're going to say.
Mm-hmm.
And how are you prepared? How are we prepared to do whatever? Like one thing I feel we've said that this time and time again, I feel that Jonathan's lawyer was not honest with him.
Mm-hmm.
His lawyer literally like gassed him up. We know Jonathan is delusional with this case. 100% delusional. His lawyer was 200% delusional and was not honest with her client. She was just going to cash her check. And she was going to get the looks that it brings. You know what I mean? Like that's what she wanted.
And let me tell you.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah. I was going to say, and I know exactly how those things happen, because what happens is when you have a potential client that's got that level of ego, they probably went to a number of other attorneys, but when they didn't hear what they wanted to hear, when they weren't treated like God, when they weren't told that it was going to work out exactly the way they wanted and that they could do whatever the fuck they wanted because he's used to being able to do what the fuck he wants when it comes to a woman, then they say, you know what? I don't want this person. I'm going to just keep shopping for a lawyer until I hear what I want to hear. And this is how it results.
And Simone, where did Jonathan shop for his lawyer? Alibaba?
Must have been. Must have. Instagram. Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat. One of those. Because the last case that she's most known for, which was Jen Shaw's case, Jen said she was innocent and took a 6-year federal sentence.
God damn.
What? I think the same thing about Tasha K's. When I followed Tasha K's case, I talk about it on my channel, Girl, Is That Legal? You can go check that out. But when I followed her case, there was so much going on there where people were like, what? And then I pulled up her lawyer and saw that like it's a lawyer that doesn't do defamation, doesn't handle any of those things. But then I realized that to get a Tasha K as a client, you got to tell her what she wants to hear. Because when you tell her, because the truth of the matter is if a Tasha K had come to my office and said, this is the case, I would say, girl, take that video down right now. Yeah. You can issue a secret apology or I'll type up what your Instagram needs to say. Yeah. Say it, sign it, and have a nice day.
Period.
And that's the end of that. But she's going to sit there and stand on business. $4,000 worth of business. Who, by the way, she recently made a post talking about how I was wrong when I broke down Diddy. I'd just like to take this moment to say no. And actually, because she was saying insurance doesn't cover deliberate acts. And I'm like, no, you're incorrect. If it's a deliberate act with non-deliberate stuff, sexual harassment, it goes together. And more importantly, Tasha would know about insurance if she had bought some goddamn defamation insurance, like I'm asking for all bloggers to do. I love
my lawyer
the blogging
told me
community.
that. My lawyer told me that years ago.
Please.
Years
I
ago.
actually
As a
learned
matter,
that
I think every creator should have it.
every creator.
Every creator. It's like life
If I'm
insurance.
gonna have you two on, I better do it.
It's
shouldn't
like
I? I better
$15
do
or
it if I have you two on.
$20 a month, literally.
Yep.
15 or 20 bucks a month. I actually accidentally found out that I had it because in America, I had Liberty Mutual. And at the time, I don't know if they still do it, but if you have homeowners insurance, it covers defamation and stuff. A lot of renters insurance policies cover defamation and stuff because it's with the way that they define a personal injury. So if someone is injured, it includes injury to their reputation. There you go. So I just say that to say, Jonathan, a component of this is definitely him. He was limited to lawyers who were going to stroke his ego and make him treat him like God.
Because I'm just saying, like, you know how many Black lawyers are out there that would have loved to take this case and would have been in there. They would have been in their whole, if the glove don't fit, you must have quit bag. Oh my God. But you went to that lady?
Because they wouldn't say what you wanted to hear. But also, when your lawyer doesn't have a certain level of humility, it's very difficult to get the prosecutor to agree to whatever you need agreed to. You got to treat that prosecutor like God, because at the end of the day, they got their authority looks real close to what Jesus could do. Okay. At least in people's situation like this.
Yep. So what do you think? Well, what were you gonna say, Kojo?
I was gonna say, listening to not even listening, the actual end result. How good was the prosecution as well? Because in the end, all they convinced the jurors to do was to say it was, i.e., reckless. So the prosecution wasn't that great either, which means that really his defense was that bad.
I disagree.
Because they couldn't get, with all the evidence that we can see here, with all the evidence presented, the jurors still couldn't come to a place and say, he's an abuser, he abused her, the patterns are very clear, we're seeing text, we're seeing this, we're seeing that. Clearly either wasn't presented very well, or there's not enough of the evidence to actually put him in a place where the jurors are confident enough to say, we believe that Jonathan is doing this on purpose. And that's what I'm saying. This case, again, I still think it's a right answer, wrong maths, but this case was definitely winnable by all means. I think, Jesse, you walked in there, you could have won it for him. Because at this point, it's given sabotage.
I would have given sabotage.
They said when those text messages came in, they said he looked down and he just slumped down like that. And I was just like, I would have been like, Negro, do not react, because that makes you look like, damn, I just got caught.
Yeah.
If I'm on the jury and those text messages are read and you do your face like this, and he did, and he shook his head, I'm saying, okay, even if I wanted to give you the benefit of the doubt, you're now caught because you just responded the way somebody looks, even though he might be thinking in his head, I'm cooked, this isn't fair, whatever. What it says is, damn, I'm caught.
I feel like the prosecution did a damn good job. And I'm going to say why. Because I feel like they were able to use things that didn't even happen that night to get something on the board. And to get him to lose his career. Yeah. Okay? To get him guilty by any means, even if it's a little misdemeanor. That's a win. That is a win in their case. And what that says is it sends a bigger message.
Yes.
Fuck with us, and this is what's going to happen. We're coming to get you. Even in that statement.
Who is that to, though? What message is that? A message to abusers, or is that a message to black males working with white women?
It's a message.
I don't think it's a deal to abusers personally.
Oh, I think it's for abusers.
Anybody who wants to go to trial against the Manhattan DA's office.
Yes.
It's like, fair. Don't play with us. Don't play with us. Don't play with us.
Like, you come in
less than 1%.
It was the DA definitely said, come to my city and this is what's gonna happen. Come to my motherfucking city if you want to. Like, and this is what is going to happen. We're stacked. We're not playing with y'all niggas. We're not
At
playing with
all.
y'all niggas, y'all wiggers, you hombre, hombre, nombre. We ain't playing with none of y'all. We're not playing with none of y'all. And I think too, New York too, and Simone, you can talk about this too, but New York is setting precedents for abuse, period. They
Absolutely.
are setting,
Absolutely.
they are like, listen, we are in our Me Too era,
Mhm.
period.
Bag.
When you look at what they did with Cassie, when you look at what like, and people think the whole they talk about Cassie and the Diddy thing. They don't talk about the fact that so many other people came forward and used that survivor's law to sue police officers. You had prisoners suing
I
and
love it.
winning, suing
I
and
love it.
winning against law
I love
enforcement.
it.
Like it. So for me, this is justice for me. Yes, the Manhattan DA and New York ain't shit. We know it. We know it. But there's a wheel turning over there. There's a wheel
Absolutely. And I want
turning.
to speak to that. Someone in the comments was like, "Oh no, Simone is going to defend all abusers," and it's okay. You're not familiar with me and who I am, so I can understand. Especially when I hear those things, I have to be very empathetic and sympathetic because 99 times that is a person who survived abuse themselves.
Yeah.
So when they hear explanations and things like that, they don't receive it from as a neutral party. And so I understand and I receive that. But I want to say, no, what I love about having my own firm is I fight the bad guys, whoever that is. Sometimes the bad guy is the system.
Yeah.
But I'm not one of those lawyers who takes a case just because it's the defense side and then tries to win. I will tell you, like, hey, if I take your case, I'm going to go to the D's office because this is the evidence and you did that shit. And the best I can get you is a plea or, a procedural dismissal. But if you're not okay with that, feel free to, call somebody else. But in 2018, I actually filed one of the first like Me Too style lawsuits in New York. I filed it against R. Kelly. I represented one of the victims. It was a teenage victim against him. Yep. I filed that one and, took that on head on. And when I was trying to determine like, okay, where is the best, because the victim is from Texas, excuse me. So we had considered Texas. And I pulled up the law and I did my research. Like I said, I'm licensed in both. I said, oh, heck no. One, it happened in New York, which the basis of that claim is that, among other things, he knew he had herpes and had given it to the client, but he would lock her in the Sprinter for hours upon hours. She couldn't use the restroom. She couldn't eat. Just all of that manipulative, abusive behavior. And I selected New York because they had the, I call it a Me Too style act, where not only could we have an additional claim because it's the New York, it's gender-based, gender-motivated crimes statute, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And it would also allow her to get up to treble damages, 3 times her damages, and her attorney's fees paid for. And she now will have access to, they're creating like a New York victims unit, et cetera, et cetera. So no, I don't always go on the side of the men or the abuser. I go on the side of truth and justice because you have to also remember on the criminal side, girl that represented him, she got paid hourly. She got paid up front. She probably had a flat rate, 200-300, whatever it was going to be up front.
Yeah.
When I took on that case against those big dogs like R. Kelly, like those, I'm paying all of this.
Yeah.
I don't get a dime from the client. Okay. Yep. I ride that shit for fucking years.
That client don't even got money like that.
The client doesn't even have money. I've even had incidents where I've loaned my clients money to get them to therapy when they wanted to commit suicide or to go away. Or I know it's YouTube, or to, get them to their doctor's appointments, allow them to be able to go to safe houses. Yeah. So I say that to say, when lawyers take these on, I'm talking about the civil cases where we're fighting the bad guys. It is a tremendous emotional and financial burden because we front all of the costs, including our staff. We pay our payroll. We do all of these things. We file and we ride those costs while the other side is over there papering our asses to death with stupid ass motions. Yep. So I was particularly happy for Cassie. yes, I was particularly happy for Cassie that she got the result that she got. And I reiterate, it was because they took a great strategy, get to that insurance policy and get over Diddy's head.
Yeah.
And with his current suit that's against the 11th grader filed against him on that one, that was going to be interesting because she's trying to get to a policy there. And if she can get to that policy, then once again, they may be able to go over his head and get relief for her and justice for her.
Yeah.
And sometimes what justice does look like is civil recovery, which brings us to here. I'm very interested to seeing whether or not Grace files any civil charges or a civil suit against him for any recovery.
I was gonna ask you if you
She
think
can.
that, but before I ask you that, because I had another question too, I want to say something too, just to go off what you were saying. The Black community, to me, has a long way to go in understanding how the judicial system works. And I mean every bit of the judicial system. I'll never forget, 2020, I went into Ulta to create content for a company that I had been partnered with. I go into Ulta and I see my face everywhere. Everywhere in the store. I went to another Ulta, face everywhere. I call the company. When did I give you the right to do that? Oh, you didn't know? I call my lawyer. Okay. And so let me tell you this. And I don't want to come down on Black lawyers. You're a Black attorney. But sometimes, even with Black attorneys, sometimes I feel like they will gas you because, especially if they know you got money or they think you have money, like, we're just gonna sue. When I went to my friend who's an attorney, who's white, he was like, Jess, don't sue. He's like, don't sue. He was like, the company is a private company. We don't know how much money they have. We don't know how much money they make. We don't know how much money you'll be able to recoup. We don't know how much money your face actually brought to the company. There's so many things we don't know. And so justice to me in that case didn't look like winning a lawsuit, right? And so I say all that because I feel like, again, Black people have a long way to go in understanding how justice looks. Justice is not always, like, you can't always just sue. Like you just said.
Absolutely. But and that's what it looks like. You got it. And you have to take a comprehensive view for your client who has a brand, who has things to lose. Because my first thought would be blackballing. My concern would be if you sue Ulta, other companies who don't understand aren't going to want to give you a brand deal.
Right.
And so
I was like, we're going to sue Ulta. We're going to sue the company, which I could have. And what I was looking for for me, I felt like if I sue Ulta, Ulta would just drop the company. But then it's like, where my money going to be at?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, where my money? Who going to pay my money? So just all that. But in the end, I was able to reach a settlement with the company. It wasn't what I wanted, but it was a good amount. Right.
Gotcha.
And it was because there were a lot of variables that we just couldn't prove. And it had gone on for a year. And I was like, yeah.
You did really good though to get a settlement in a year.
Oh my God.
Lord knows if you had went to court and filed, and it could be 3 years and so forth. Easily.
Yeah.
But what you said, and I want to make sure I'm quoting you correctly. You said that you feel like a lot of times the Black people, the Black community, our relationship with the law is, how did you say it? That was perfect.
We have a long way to go in understanding how the judicial system works, and also how justice works too, how justice looks. Justice doesn't always have one look.
And that's why I do what I do now. Like if you're looking at my page, you may have initially followed me for relationship dating stuff. I was on a dating reality show, but I really, really enjoy, I'm trying to bring you guys more legal content where in an infotainment kind of format, I hope to entertain you, but also like empower you with the law.
Wait, I wanted to say this too. This is what I wanted to say too, is going back to you. I feel like a lot of people must misunderstand you because again, Black people have a long way to go with understanding.
Right.
When Simone is telling you, like Simone is the type of lawyer you want to listen to. And I'm going to tell you why. She's not just going to tell you what you want to hear. A lot of lawyers will tell you what you want to hear and they will eat up your money and you will lose your Marvel bag. This is what we just saw happen.
Right.
Dead ass.
Right.
Dead ass. You will lose your
Thank you.
bag because your lawyer was willing to tell you what I'm telling you, will tell you what you're willing to hear. My lawyer could have easily been like, my friend could have easily been like, well, yeah, let's go to trial and eat up. That lawyer of mine, who's my friend Andrew, God bless his soul, got me out of 2 very big legal battles. Very big, by sitting me down. And it wasn't easy for him because I was flying off the handle. It wasn't easy, but he talked me through it. He really, really talked me through those 2 matters. And I was able to break free and get what I was owed in both instances. But Simone is the type of lawyer y'all want to hear.
Thank you.
She is, because I'm going to tell you, she's going to tell you what you don't want to hear so that you're prepared. That's what prepares you. It's kind of like going into a football game. If you're on the defense, your coach is going to tell you, this is how the offense is going to come at you. If you're not ready, you have to know how the other side is going to come at you. And again, sometimes justice doesn't always look like that other person admitting what they did. It doesn't always look like that. But it can look like a check. It can look like a misdemeanor. It can look like, okay, a civil suit. Like there's other ways. You have to play. You have to know how to play. You have to be smart. And again, a lot of these lawyers, they're going to tell you what you want to hear. And another thing too, in the entertainment space, a lot of these PR companies going to tell you what you want to hear. They're going to eat up your money. I'll never forget when I first started, I was paying a PR company $4,000 a month. I cannot tell you what that PR company did for me.
Mm-hmm. And I really think as a lawyer, I do my best. My mom says one of my gifts since childhood has been anticipating an obstacle and then coming up with a strategy to overcome it. So that's really what I try to do in approaching any legal matter. It's like, okay, what's going to be the hardest part to getting you to your version of a successful result? And then, all right, this is what we're going to have to overcome. So that when you see it, don't act surprised. And then I'm going to tell you what I'm going to need from you in order to overcome it. And if you don't think you can do it, or you don't want to wait or whatever, it's okay if you go with somebody else. Because I would rather have you have that. And when you talk about the Black community and our relationship with the law and that we have a long way to go, I completely agree. And that's why I love doing what I do. So my YouTube channel, if you're watching this from Jesse's channel or from Little Black Books, my channel is called Girl, Is That Legal? Where I break down different legal topics. We have discussions. And I also, I give away background checks into the persons of your choice, which we talk about another time. But
she gonna come and do a background check for us, y'all.
Oh, absolutely.
If you are watching from my channel, you know who I'm gonna ask her to do it on. I ain't even gotta tell y'all. Y'all know exactly what scammer I'm gonna have her do it on.
I would love to. And then I need you to just co-host and help me break some news to some women that have written in about different men in their lives. And I found some stuff, and they're going to need you as our internet bestie to help break them news and tell them, get rid of this man.
Ladies, our time is up. Our time is up, girls.
Wait, do I hear a TV show? The time is up.
Our time is up. The 2-hour mark has been hit. So I'm going to get y'all to round it up and, give me your closing statements. Keep it a minute. I'm gonna read the super chats.
I'll just say thank you guys for joining. Absolutely. When I check out my YouTube channel, which is called Girl, Is That Legal? Please hit the like and the subscribe. As well, go to my Instagram, which is Attorney Simone Redwine here at the bottom. And my TikTok, I'm growing there. My TikTok is That Legal? I appreciate it. And I just want to let you know, I'm always going to give you the legal breakdown from the legal perspective. So it's not necessarily going to be what you want to hear, but I want to make sure that you know the law so you can use that to come up with whatever your personal views and sentiments are.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I just want to say we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us.
Where's my? Absolutely.
Plymouth Rock landed on us. And lastly, if the glove don't fit, you must have quit. You must have quit, baby. That was out. Those were the moments I was waiting on for Kane. Kane ain't getting none of the moments through this trial. Lord have mercy. Y'all keep him in prayer. Listen, like I said before, Tyler Perry's always hiring. So we're just going to keep Jonathan Majors in prayer. And we're going to hope the good Lord sent Tyler to save our brother. He would have been so great in The Color Purple. That would have been perfect for him.
Oh, yes. Oh, we would have accepted him. The abuser.
Oh, yeah, he would have been perfect. He would have been perfect for that role. But yeah, y'all. I mean, if you don't follow me, my name's Jessie Woo. So all my socials is the Jessie Woo. And yeah, that's it, y'all. I think this chat was very good. I'm really happy we had it. Again, I think Simone is great at what she does. If you don't follow Simone, follow Simone. That's the type of lawyer you should be listening to. Someone who's going to tell you the truth and present to you the facts and have you prepared. I admire the Black women that are doing that type of work because our community really needs it. So, and thank you, Kojo. Thank you so much for having both of us.
I really appreciate being able to hear from someone who survived this kind of thing, because you gave arguments that I knew that there was arguments I wasn't considering or that I was missing, such as your explanation of why she may have done certain things. And it just gives me a whole perspective so that I have a better understanding of how they came to their verdict. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. No worries. I'm going to quickly read you super chats and then we're going to get ourselves on the way. We have a super chat here saying from Natalie M. As a radio producer, I love the media literacy. Lakiba Brooklyn says there is no perfect DV victim. My friend did things that made no sense at the time during her abuse. I don't know if he did everything, but a pattern of abuse is present. Running after your abuser is something I have seen. We also have New Diamond. She says he can audition for spicy. He can audition for RuPaul's Drag Race. I've seen that show. It's actually a really good show. I can't lie to you. Orange Pill says so. Majors shouldn't have been with that white girl, but what would have a sister have done in that car if she saw another woman text him? And whose side would the sisterhood be on automatically if there was an altercation? That's a fair point. Shout out to Orange Pill again. Says his lawyer, Priya, actually won against Alvin Bragg last month in an Adam Force case in the same situations Majors was going through. Priya knows what she's doing. Simone, you're just talking out your ass. Okay.
No, she's not.
Simone, listen.
So why she ain't win this one? So why she ain't win this one? So why she ain't win?
I don't know. Before you hit
white men, I believe.
wait. Let me read the super chat. Let me read the super chat. I promise you can respond to 2 minutes after.
Thank you for your money.
All right, I'll let you respond to her. HFG said, "Did you see the lawyer's clown outfit that she wore to court? It looks so unprofessional." Make It Make Sense said, "Now this is a panel." Hands up, appreciate that. Cindy Benjamin put a super sticker as well. We love that. Richard Ruth, thank you so much as well. Sean Unfiltered said, please avoid generalizing with race. I know several amazing Black attorneys, personally, including a member of Cassie's defense team. Let's debunk that myth. And then finally, Make It Make Sense said the white version of Rosa Parks, Corella Scott King, lost him that Marvel contract. So clearly that audience has got some jokes. Simone, you want to respond to? Give it a minute and then we've got to go. Okay. Yeah. Go on.
I am sure she's an excellent lawyer. I'm just saying that just based on my understanding, and I want to give props to her because she was in there. She knew what she was up against. I'm just speaking from the perspective of based on what we're seeing from the outside, how I felt. So I'm sure she's great. I'm just speaking as to the certain things that we addressed today. So good luck to her.
Well, I'm going to say she is a whack ass lawyer. And to that person who just asked me, Jessie, are you ready to eat soup? Yes, I am, but I will be spending Haitian Independence Day in Ghana. However, I will be hosting an Independence Day dinner in Ghana. So, Kojo, I'll give you the info on that. But but it's gonna be really special. Yeah, it's gonna be really, really special. So I look forward to doing that and doing it in the ancestors' ground. It's gonna be really good. Yep.
Let me stop that. All right, cool. Well, all this members, it's been an amazing conversation. If you want to see more great content like this, please do message myself, message Jess, message Simone. If you want to see more great content like this, it's been a bonanza, and I've been blessed to actually listen to you two as well, converse and just kind of just bring out different thoughts and ideas as well. So it was actually good from my perspective as well. I do have a request, Jess, before you leave. I need you to say the continents don't meet. I need you to say it one time because the audience loved that.
The continents was not meeting. The continents don't meet. The continents don't meet. Okay, Jonathan.
On that note, guys,
Jonathan being 34 years old and his boots are 300 years old, the continents don't meet. The continents don't meet. Okay.
I'm gonna leave his boots alone. Guys, it's been beautiful. Ladies, it's been beautiful. We'll see you again very, very soon. Much love, much appreciation.